Hello and welcome to another video of Viday. I'm Ryan, a volunteer from Exams Viday where everything is possible, and this is the second video of the chapter Breeding and Biotechnology. This chapter comes for the exam NTSC. In this video, we'll be looking into animal breeding and biotechnology. In the first video, we have been looking into plant breeding, where we have learned about mutation, hybridization, we have learned about selection, and so on. Do make sure to see the first video if you haven't already. It's about plant breeding, and this video is about animal breeding. So, in this video, we'll be learning about the animal breeding itself and the genetic engineering and the applications of biotechnology. Animal breeding consists of inbreeding, outbreeding, and heterosis. In genetic engineering, these are not the subtopics. Do remember, these are not the subtopics, but rather the requirements are these 5 important points. So you can remember these 5 points under genetic engineering. Genetic engineering has no subtopics for now. Applications of biotechnology, we have 5 applications in biotechnology. You might have learnt about DNA fingerprinting and stem cells and all. So let's move on to the first ever subtopic, animal breeding. A breed is a group of animals of common origin within a species that has certain distinguishing characters that are not found in other members of the same species. And breeding is the mating of parents of different varieties, each having some desired trait which are passed on to offsprings. So what is animal breeding and why do we do that? Animal breeding aims to improve the genotypes of domestic animals to increase the yield and improve the desirable qualities like milk, egg and meat. When breeding takes place between animals of the same breed is called inbreeding, and when it's of a different breed it's called outbreeding. So let's take into a look into inbreeding. Inbreeding refers to the mating of closely related animals within the same breed for about 4 to 6 generations. So whatever humans are doing right now is basically inbreeding. Humans are of same species and same genotypes for 99% of the genes, while 1% determines their phenotypes of external characteristics and facial expressions. So this helps to acclimate the superior genes and eliminate genes which are undesirable. So inbreeding is more like a filtration process of outbreeding. So what many people practice is do a little bit of outbreeding and then majorly do inbreeding for a few generations. Some of the examples of inbreeding is this. Hissaradale is a new breed of sheep developed by crossing Bicarani and Australian rams. So what is there's a down track for inbreeding. Inbreeding depression. Inbreeding depression is the continuous inbreeding that reduces the fertility and productivity. This will also expose to harmful genes that will be removed by selections but more or less not applicable in the ethics committee. So inbreeding is not done for too much of generations. A little bit of outbreeding and a little bit of inbreeding will be happening. So let's take a look into outbreeding now. Outbreeding is the breeding of unrelated animals. So and the offsprings are known as hybrids. So instead of talking this into detail, if you just focus on this picture from your textbook itself, you will understand what's going on. So you have a male donkey and a female horse, and if they breed to give offspring, you will get a mule. So mule is superior in strength in compared to horse, intelligence and ability to work and resistance to diseases. These are really perfect characteristics of a domesticated animal that we need. But the only downside to the mule is that they are sterile, meaning they cannot produce any more offsprings by their own or other mules. So another mule and with another mule cannot bring an offspring because they are sterile. We have heterosis or hybrid vigor. Is the superiority of the hybrid obtained by crossbreeding is called heterosis or hybrid vigor. So this is more or less the heterosis or hybrid vigor. Mule is superior to both horse and donkey. So what are the different properties of a hybrid vigor? It increases the milk production, egg production, quality of meat, and increases growth rate in domesticated animals. So hybrid vigor is the more upgraded version of an outbreeding, or more should I say the successful version of outbreeding. So with that being said, let's move to genetic engineering. Genetic engineering is the manipulation and transfer of genes from one organism to another organism to create a new DNA called as recombinant DNA, which is also called as rDNA, not to be confused with RNA. rDNA is something that we genetically engineer. This rDNA is used because DNA from two different sources can be joined together. It's called as rDNA for the same matter. Genetic engineering can be also called as rDNA technology. R stands for recombinant. So the basic requirements for the rDNA technology is the presence of plasmid in bacteria that can undergo replication independently along with chromosomal DNA. If you are not aware of the fact that bacteria has a component in itself that is able to replicate DNAs to of itself, so this is mainly used to defend against itself from the bacteria, and it's called as ESPER. If you want to know more about it, you can always Google and find out. Restriction enzymes cut or breaks DNA at specific sites are also called as molecular scissors. This mechanism is also present in bacteria as well. DNA ligases are the enzymes which help in joining the broken DNA fragments. After you cut certain DNA, you need to join it again. So that's where the DNA ligase will come into place. So you need the medium, the mechanism that cuts the DNA, the mechanism which joins the DNA. So these are three important steps in genetic engineering. So you have this specific DNA structure, we have the sequence of DNA structure. So what does this do is the molecular scissors will cut the DNA in such a manner into these two nodes. Now you will get two of the DNA structures. You have another two of the DNA structures, and when you cross match with the joining of DNA fragments, you will get a newer DNA. This is basically genetic engineering. Gene cloning. The carbon copy of individual is often called as clone. However, more appropriately, a clone means to make a genetic exact copy of an organism. We haven't come exactly to the point where we made an exact copy of an organism, though we have the resources to do. The ethics committee did not allow it to happen because of pure humanistic nature. In gene cloning, a gene or a piece of DNA fragment is inserted into bacterial cell where DNA will be multiplied as the cell divides. So we have isolation of desired fragment, insertion of desired fragments into a suitable vector, transfer of rDNA, selection and multiplication, and the clone eventually. So you have this cell, you take the specific DNA and then you insert it to an RNA through the plasmid and then into the bacterium. So the bacterium here is the vector for the rDNA, which is the plasmid. So you can see here DNA and plasmid is here, and the plasmid out here will be cut off one segment of the plasmid, and rDNA will be attached here. So this rDNA will multiply accordingly with the bacteria as it produces, and thus it's the clone. Here not only bacterium can act as a vector, anything else can act as a vector as well. And this important methodology of duplication of DNAs or RNAs, sometimes mostly RNAs, is used to create enzymes, hormones, and vaccines. Even one of the vaccines of COVID is based on this particular methodology. Applications of biotechnologies. The use of genetic engineering techniques, medically important valuable proteins or polypeptides that form the potential pharmaceutical products for treatment of various diseases, have been developed on a commercial scale. So, why do we learn about genetic engineering so much? It's because at this molecular levels, one small change in this genetic level can eventually change almost everything of the phenotypic characteristics of a human being or any other animals. Such a small change can bring up to a large difference. The pharmaceutical product developed by RNA technique, we have insulins, we have growth hormones, we can treat blood clotting factors, and we have development of vaccines against various diseases like COVID-19, rabies, and hepatitis B. Using gene therapy, we can even cure genetic diseases like the loss of blood clotting and other diseases as well. So, gene therapy refers to replacement of defective genes by a transfer of functional genes into human to treat genetic diseases or disorders. The genetic makeup of the patient cell is altered using rDNA technology, which was successfully implemented in 1990. The reason why you don't see this rDNA coming out too frequently is because usually they are expensive and we don't have the right resources to make this process more efficiently. This process is usually time taking, and thus most of the hospital still use normal methodologies to cure diseases. We got somatic gene therapy, which is the replacement of defective genes in somatic cells, and germline gene therapy, which replaces the defective gene in the germ cell. In human cell, there are 22 pairs of somatic cell and 1 pair of gene cell. Gene therapy conducted till date have only targeted somatic cells. That is, after a person has been born, whatever diseases that the person has acquired during that time can be healed properly using gene therapy. But a person who has already acquired the disease before being born, as through a genetic concourse, you cannot cure it using gene therapy. As of now, we don't have the resources to cure and prevent genetic diseases. This is only the drawback of the gene therapy, but in the future endeavors in the biotechnology world, we would also be able to solve the genetic diseases. If we were able to solve genetic diseases, we can make ourselves immune to almost every disease and might well as even make us more intelligent than before. We have another application of biotechnologies, which is the stem cells. Our body comprises over 200 specialized cell types, right? So, and they are called as differentiated cells, but there's one particular cell mass which is undifferentiated cell. And what does undifferentiated cell means? It is potential to become into other cells as well. The stem cell is so powerful that it can become into a brain cell. Its ability to divide and give rise to more stem cells by self-renewal. Its ability to give rise to specialized cell with specific functions by the process of differentiation. So stem cells, these are the two important characteristics of a stem cell. Now I think a picture might explain more clearly. So you have cultured stem cells here, and these stem cells can go into intestinal cells or a nerve cell or a blood cell or a muscle cell or a cardiac cell. It can turn into any other cell if you want. So there are two types of stem cells. We got the embryonic stem cells, which is inside an embryo and usually in the umbilical cord. An adult stem cell or somatic stem cell is found in the umbilical cord, bone marrow, or amniotic fluid. So majority of the time we utilize stem cells from the bone marrow umbilical cords only, and it is cultured in a petri dish so that we use it for future use. Stem cells are used for diseases which is called as stem cell therapy. It can be used for disorders against like Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's disease, which can be used to replace the damaged or lost neurons. Brain cells is most vulnerable cell. Thus, stem cells can, since able to implement and mimic the nerve cells, can be used to replace damaged or lost nerve cells. DNA fingerprinting. If you want to compare the genetic difference between two individuals, DNA fingerprinting is the easier and quicker method. This technique was developed by Al Jeffrey. The technique analyzes everyone's unique DNA sequence and provides distinctive characteristics of individual health in identification. Variable number of tandem repeated sequence, which is also called as VNTRs, serve as a molecular marker for identification. You would have a different VNTR than me. So what do I mean by VNTR? Like I said in the before slide, 99 like I said it in the before slide, 99% of the DNA based sequence that the human being have is the same as everyone has, and the rest 1 percentage is the VNTR focus on, and that one sequence of the DNA is the deciding factor of our phenotypic nature. So applications of DNA fingerprinting. DNA fingerprinting technique is widely used in forensic applications like crime investigations to identify the culprit. It also helps in study of genetic diversity of population, evolution and speciation. Next we have the GMOs or genetically modified organisms. GMOs are usually focused on plants and not more into animals due to ethics reasons, but we do it in animals but in a safer manner. But plants, the sky is the limit, we do more things on plants only. So one of the most tremendous development of genetic engineering is the production of genetic modified plants and animals. The genetic modification refers to alteration or manipulation of gene in organisms using rDNA techniques in order to put the desired characteristics. The DNA fragments inserted are called transgene, and the plants or animals expressing these transgene characteristics are called as transgenic organism. So here we have plant tabular column and animal tabular column. So let's take one of the objectives: improve nutritional quality of rice. What we insert is the gene of beta carotene gene, which is required for synthesis of vitamin A. So golden rice is given with the transgene of beta carotene, which helps people in vitamin A deficiency. If you want to increase crop production, we take gene from Bacillus thuringiensis, a bacteria basically, which also increases the resistance to plants. Now if you want to have an example of real life, there's the specific banana fruit which has a gene of an insect which is inserted into it so that the insects will not feed on that particular banana plant, because the insect will think, since it has the same gene, it will portray some characteristics of the same insect as well in terms of order or in terms of taste. So the insect will think like this is one of us and we should not do any sort of cannibalistic characteristics. So the insect will leave its own insect kind, but in turn it's actually a banana with an insert gene. It's a GMO basically. We have for the animals, like improve wool quality and production, we got a transgenic sheep. Remember I told you for animals we don't do too much of this GMO because of ethics reasons, but here since we are only improving the wool quality and production, it's not harmful to the sheep and all. We got increased growth in fish, transgenic fish. We fishes will reproduce much more larger in numbers, which is in turn good for them and good for us as well. So let's end this video with 3 practice questions. rDNA is what? And the next question is, DNA fingerprinting is based on the principle of identifying sequences of DNA. And the next question is, organism with modified endogenous genes or a foreign gene is also called as what? So you can pause this video and answer to yourself. And now I'll be listing out the answers for these questions. So rDNA is a recombinant of vector DNA and desired DNA. Vector DNA is the DNA that carries the desired DNA. That's basically it. The vector DNA can be another female egg cell or a bacterial plasmid. The next answer is repetitive because the VNTRs is based on the change in repetitive sequence of a DNA 1% order. And the next answer is transgenic organisms. We saw this in the last slide only. Transgenic organisms are the GMOs. With that being said, this concludes the chapter Breeding and Biotechnology. Please check the description below for extra questions and lecture notes for the chapter. All extracts are from textbook only and pictures are from textbook and Google Images. Remember to go through the glossary and points to remember behind the chapter in the textbook. Please do like, share and subscribe. And thank you for attending.